Thank you, Sheriff Solid. At this time, if you'll take your cell phones, turn them to silent. I've asked Ms. Cheryl Holt to give prayer this morning, followed by the prayer. If you'll stand, please.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day that you've given us. Thank you for the blessings that we're so undeserving of. Dear Lord, just be with us as we go throughout this meeting, and thank you for the best decisions for you and for the taxpayers in this county. Dear Lord, we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Cheryl. Takes us to number 4, approval of agenda even date.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 5, approval of minutes dated October 17th, 2019 and October 31st, 2019, which was the work session. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. That takes us to number 6, Russ Andracchio, Weems Mental Health. Morning, sir.
Good morning. Pass out one of these to each other.
Thank you, sir.
Sir. All right. My name is Russ Andriacchio, and I am the Executive Director of Weems Community Mental Health Center. I took over from Maurice Calmus June the 1st. I've been at Weems for 23 years, and I previously served as the Assistant Director for 3 years prior to me being named as the Executive Director. And today I have with me who, based on the reception he got in the lobby, I don't think he needs any introduction. He's our Lauderdale County Commissioner, Mr. C.D. Smith. But as you know, being that we have these meetings every year, Weems is governed by a 9-county commission. And each county has a board member that represents us. And obviously Mr. Smith here represents Lauderdale County. We're glad to have him. But I'll be pretty quick. Just wanted to let y'all know that we really appreciate the funding that Lauderdale County gives Weems. Weems is bigger than we've ever been. Weems, it seems that we're busier than we've ever been. We now have over 400 employees, and you know, with the addition of the CSU, the Crisis Stabilization Unit over in Newton, we're just so busy. With the way drug addiction is this day and time, along with mental illness, we're living in a real tough time. You know, Weems has a budget of over $20 million. Our payroll is over $1 million a month. You know, we also, as you know, took over MID a couple years ago, and y'all graciously donate money to that as well, about $60,000, I believe. And that helps and is critical. If we didn't have that, it would make it a lot harder on us, because, just to be honest, now with the managed care companies who manage Medicaid, it's getting harder and harder for us to stay above water. They are now, Medicaid came up with the grand idea, I guess, to save money, and so they got these managed care companies, and in these companies, we have to get a prior authorization on everybody we serve. So, in other words, we send in the information that John Doe needs mental health services, and based on our professional opinion, we would like to provide those, and they decide whether or not they're going to pay for it or not. Of course, their excuse all the time when we complain or appeal on a denial, we're not telling you can't provide the service, we're just telling you we're not going to pay for it. So, all of you know we can't just provide services for more and more and more people with less and less funding. But at the end of the day, Weems is doing good right now. We're providing a lot of good services throughout Region 10. And again, I want to thank the board for you know, y'all's contributions. You'll see there that Lauderdale County has 179 full-time employees and 178 and 39 part-time. And if you'll look on the second page, In 2018, Weems overall served over 11,000 clients, and about half of those were right here in Lauderdale County. So of the 9 counties that we serve, half of the services were provided here in Lauderdale. In saying that, the last pages just basically deal with our budget, and as you can see, we cut it close. Our biggest thing is generating money through Medicaid billing, of course. That's our big thing. We receive grants, which you guys and ladies probably know well that in a grant, our grant proposition is a break-even proposition at best. Generally, you're not going to make money off of those, but they do help pay for some equipment and some supplies and vehicles and that type of thing. I mean, Weems has about 70 vehicles that we run, so it's a pretty big operation. Does anybody have any questions?
Gentlemen?
Just a comment.
Go ahead, sir, and then I'll...
We certainly, as a board, myself, I certainly appreciate you bringing the updates to us. I've been sitting here 12 years, and, I don't know where this community would be without Weems.
Well, I
Because they
appreciate it.
contribute so much to Lauderdale County.
Well, I appreciate it. Back in the day, just in my lifetime, when I was a kid, I mean, you heard about things, but a lot of the big stuff and a lot of these major drugs and things you heard about in the bigger cities and all, but the reality is now, I mean, it's right here in your small town. I mean, rural Smith County, I mean, it's, I use that as an example, all of them, nobody's immune to it. I mean, drug addiction doesn't discriminate, mental illness doesn't discriminate, old, young, and all races. It doesn't matter. Everybody is affected by it or knows somebody or has somebody in their family that's affected by it.
Russ, I'll just echo what Mr. Newell said, not only what you do for our county, but those 9 counties, and just to encourage people to seek mental health. I mean, it's you said it, it's something that our society is dealing with now. It's just a different world than what we grew up in. I want to spend more time with you. I want you to educate me about the funding and getting these denials and things like that, so we can talk when we go to the Capitol and things like that with a better understanding. I want us to be educated when we speak about it.
Well,
so
that'd
let's
be
spend
great,
some time together.
because that's what it's going to take. And we're I don't want to say we're fighting a losing battle. We are fighting a tremendous battle against this. And going to your legislators, that's, if we can get through to some of these people, because sometimes some of this stuff's passed, as you know, piggybacked off other stuff, and they don't even really know what they're approving or casting their vote towards. So I'll be glad to talk to you or anybody else about it and give you as much as I know about it so that you can speak intelligently about it.
Good deal.
Yeah. And if I can ever, help any of you professionally or personally, don't hesitate to give me a call. You can reach me at Weems. I don't mind giving you my cell phone number. You can call me any time, day or night.
Gentlemen, anything else?
Mr. President, if you don't mind, I've told prior administrations of Weems, and I want to, relay that to you also. I'm on the mid board, and I've been on it for 7 years now, and, if y'all wouldn't have stepped up and stepped in like you did, that place would have went away. And a lot of people don't even know what mid is, what it's about, or what it even does, but, that's a really big thing y'all did, and my hat's off to you, and I thank everyone of you for doing that.
Well, 2 things real quick. You said something that you said a mouthful. Basically, people that don't know or never been to mid, they don't know what goes on there. And I hear more and more people tell me that they don't even know what Weems does. Unless you go there or you have somebody that goes there, a lot of people don't even know what we do at Weems. But to speak on mid, real quickly, you're right. Had we not taken it over, and the IDD services were something that we had never gotten into, so we kind of took a step out on faith that this was going to be something we were going to be able to provide and survive financially. Well, it's all worked out good so far, but my point is, I just attended the other day the Employee of the Quarter or the Employee of the Month, and then ultimately the Employee of the Year celebration, and to see the smiles on those folks' faces, seeing that they are providing something meaningful and to be recognized in the ceremony. I mean, that right there is why we do it.
Dr. Buddy's been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He's He's an awesome guy.
You know he's retired.
Yes, unfortunately, I hate to hear that. But
Yeah.
he has been awesome. And that transition, he's really been awesome.
I don't know that we could have done it without him. He, has about 30 years of experience, and we hired him strictly to get that thing up and running, and he did a great job. And we're gonna hire somebody that's gonna come right in and never gonna miss a beat. So,
Mr. Smith, thank you for your service, not only on this board, but on other things. I know you've served this community well, so thank you for your leadership.
I would like to make a comment. Since you all appointed me to the board, I really appreciate it. I had little knowledge, I'll have to admit, of the extent of the work being done by Weems, but it is amazing what's going on. It's not a secret, but it's something that is a vital service that is being provided throughout this region. And as Russ said, it doesn't discriminate at all. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are, or how poor you are, or who you are. Mental illness and addiction has affected most every family. If it hasn't affected your family, you're extremely fortunate. But one comment about Russ. So Maurice Kalmus was the executive director when I came on board, and really proud of the work that was being done, and that I learned about Weems. But when he chose to retire, there, right in the wings, ready to go, was Russ. And I can tell you from being on the board there, didn't miss a beat, and Russ is moving along, carrying the torch, doing excellent work on behalf of Weems and all of us. That's my comment.
Mr. CD, thank you, sir. Russ, thank you. I want to introduce you. That's Erin Kelly, right over there in the pink sweater. I bet she would love to talk to you about Mid and Weems at some point.
okay.
Not trying to do your job, Miss Erin, but it's a good story. All right, thank you,
Thank
gentlemen.
y'all.
Thank you.
Give Joy something else to do, because I don't think she has enough to do every day.
No comment.
That will take us to number 7, Mr. Alan Dover, Volunteer Fire Department.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Martin.
I have one item, but it's in two parts for you this morning. We're in the process of trying to put the infrastructure in place in our 911 center so that the fire service will have an opportunity to be able to work off of the Nisman system. Two of those things are, and I'll need board approval on both of them. The first one is a memorandum of understanding between the Wireless Commission and the Lauderdale County Fire Service. And the second one is a memorandum of understanding also with the Wireless Commission, but it deals with the Mississippi Interoperability Channel Plan.
All right, let's take them one at a time.
Okay.
So do me a favor, present that first one again.
First one is a memorandum of understanding between the Mississippi Wireless Communications Commission and the Lauderdale County Fire Service.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And the second one is a memorandum of understanding with the Mississippi Interoperability Channel Plan, which is also with the Wireless Commission. It's just a different section.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Just for y'all's information, anytime that we have any agency that has or is going to try and work on that NISWIM plan, they will have to come before y'all and have these done, because it's done per agency, not per county. Okay? Subject to any questions, that's all I got for you.
Gentlemen, anything from Mr. Dover? All right, I will say a few weeks back, when it was dry, you got on top of the burn ban and got all that taken care of. Thank you for your diligent work.
Yeah, only in the state of Mississippi can we go from a burn ban one week and then dealing with flash flood the next.
The next day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll take us to number 8, Sheriff Billy Sock.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Sheriff.
First item on my agenda is personnel. You have a list in there of personnel that are no longer associated with the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department or who have recently been hired to the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department. Item number 2 is an annual event. We have to select a deputy to be the fire investigator for Lauderdale County, which requires a signature from the board president, myself, and from our fire coordinator. We'll be submitting this to the state of Mississippi once we have all the designated signatures. Need authorization to proceed.
Need authorization. Got a motion? Second. Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 3 is a training matter. Deputy Eric Shirley, Tim Dearman will be attending the Storm Conference in Vicksburg, November the 12th to the 14th. Registration is $60. Per diem requested is $246, and the cost of this training will be paid for out of the budget, but reimbursed by our DUI grant.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 4 is incomplete, but I'll go ahead and read it anyway. Lieutenant Marissa Combs, Tommy Coker, and a new corporal yet to be named will be attending the Field Training Officer Certification in Gonzales, Louisiana on November the 18th to the 22nd. Registration is $1,485, lodging is $1,526, and the per diem is $414. We'll have the new corporal selected before the day.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
So that's all I have on my agenda, unless the board has any questions or concerns.
Gentlemen? Thank you much.
Thank you, sir.
That will take us to number 9, Mr. James Rangy, Tax Assessor.
Morning, Board.
Good morning, James.
Mine's short and sweet this morning. Y'all have for change assessments, you have an attachment with a spreadsheet from Excel spreadsheet on those. I'd like to present them to the board this morning.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
upon the tax assessor's recommendation, I so move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
That's all I have. I'd like to just make a comment. Tomorrow is voting day. We all involved in that, just running for office. I just want to ask to encourage the people to go out and vote. Some of us, especially, I can say it for my family, had someone that gave their life in World War II in Normandy. It is right to vote. Some of us that serve in the military, especially Lee and the others, protect those rights to go vote. So I just encourage everybody to go vote.
Mr. Rangy, thank you, sir.
Thank y'all. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you. That'll take us to number 10, Rush Mayat, Road Manager.
Good morning, Board. First item on my agenda, needing approval of Southwest water permit and construction drawings, Contract 3 water distribution upgrades along Sucklina Meehan Road.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Second item, needing approval to make repairs to our John Deere 410G backhoe, VIN number T0410GX920436, in the amount of $8,812.69.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The third item, needing approval to advertise for one or more half-ton pickup trucks.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Fourth item, needing approval to advertise for bridge repairs for the following bridges contingent upon state aid bridge inspection results. Of course, I have 3 of them highlighted there. We listed all of them, and I can read them out if I need to. But the main 3, Old Highway 80, Maiden Road, Luther Ray Cobb. I do not feel like we'll have any others. But we got them there anyway.
Usually list is in the agenda.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
And this is not to scare the public. This is simply getting ahead of the ball, just in case there is something to do with these bridges. Not saying these are going to be deemed to be closed, but this is just you're doing your due diligence to get ahead of the curveball if there is one thrown at.
That's correct. I do feel like there'll be repairs that will be made on those 3. but I do not feel like any of them will require immediate closures.
What you're doing is saving us a month, or saving the public at least a month worth of bidding and the process of going through all that. With holidays coming up, you're saving us at least a month.
Right. And we've been through this before, and kind of know how the state works, and this is really to just try and avoid any potential closures.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
Rush, how long do you know anything about the length of time these bridges will be worked on? They will not be closed, my understanding. The work will be just done and traffic will flow, or we're gonna have to close the road?
I believe Old Highway 80 and Luther Ray Cobb, work can be done without any interruptions. It's questionable, depending on the contractor and their safety procedures, or how they feel comfortable with Maiden Road, whether we have to temporarily close it. But it won't be for any length of time, less than a week.
If they do close it, certainly give us ample time to let the newspaper and the radio and so forth know that these folks will have to, traveling that road will have to take an alternate detour.
For sure. And it's more or less going to come back to the contractors, whether they feel comfortable or safe doing the repairs with the road open. Of course, we'll go from there.
Any more discussion? I've had a motion and a second. Had discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The fifth item, I have Maiden Estates North. Of course, I asked Ms. Kristen to throw this on there this morning because I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention. I do not know, I think she was able to attach pictures, but basically, Maiden Estates North was one of the two subdivisions that we have been going back and forth on within the past 2 years, trying to get our planning commission back on right track, as well as educating the public on, what our process is. We, in fact, accepted Sophie Lane as a public road sometime back late February, early March of 2019. It was kind of unfortunate how all of it was presented to us, and of course we went round and round with
Mr. President, Mr. Tiger, is this something we can talk about in executive session? There's names and companies and all that will be mentioned.
I mean, we can always determine the need for it, so if you want to pass it until then.
Do you mind doing, just to,
I do need to mention all that, and it's probably best if I don't say it. The main point is, this is kind of new territory for me, probably for us. We did take out a construction bond. We made the contractor take out a construction bond, and in fact, the road is damaged in less than a year, and we need to hold them accountable. So how we do that, how we go about that, I
agree with Mr. Todd. Let's just stop right there, and we'll.
And if it's not a part of executive session, then we can come back and we can talk about it.
Discuss it.
Yeah, no problem at all.
All right. Just to protect
Yeah, for sure.
All parties involved.
Yeah. All right.
And that's all I have on my agenda, unless y'all have something.
Anything else?
Mr. President, Rush, do we need to make the announcement of the intentions on Knox Road?
I think so.
Well, why don't you go ahead and make that announcement?
November 7th. Yes. We're planning on opening Knox Road back up to the public. Sometime, probably springtime, when weather is more suitable, we will anticipate going back in there and overlaying that road.
One end to the other.
But it'll be open back up to the public on the 7th.
We'll have a ribbon cutting.
Well, the postmaster and the school buses and the through traffic will be appreciative.
For sure.
All right. Anything else for Mr. Rush? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right. That will take us to number 11, staff reports. We'll start with Ms. Carolyn Mooney. Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
My first item I would like to submit for inclusion in the minutes, the public notice advising of the date and time of this meeting pursuant to section 254113, Mississippi Code of 1972. My next item, I need approval of the first plaintiff's docket for the month of November and authorize the clerk to issue the warrants.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And my next item is a forwarding refund. I have one parcel that needs to be forwarded refund to the tax purchaser. It is a 2018 taxes that were sold in 2019. The PIN number is 7242, and the amount of the refund is $953.77. This property was tax exempt due to a disability. It should not have gone for the sale.
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Second. Have a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And my next item, I have 6 oath of office that I need board approval for.
So moved. Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. President, that concludes my agenda.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any questions for Ms. Carroll? All right, that will take you to Ms. Cheryl Polk, who is sitting in for Chris Lafferty, who is off on military training. So, Ms. Cheryl, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Number 1 is need approval to reopen Fund 294 for the TIP INS Crossroads and advance from the general fund to TIP Fund 294, $107,767 for the final payment of the principal and interest. The advance will be repaid back to the general fund when funds from tax collectors are received.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Number 2, need to approve advance from general fund to Fund 297, TIF refunded Meridian Crossroads, Series 19, for $44,901 for principal and interest. The advance will be repaid back to the general fund when funds from tax collections are received.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, number 3 is just to include in the minutes observance of Veterans Day, Monday, November the 11th. Thanksgiving holiday will be Thursday, November 28th, and Friday the 29th. Christmas holiday will be Tuesday, December 24th, and Wednesday, December 25th. And New Year's holiday will be Wednesday, January 1st, 2020. And then number 4 also is need to include in the minutes that Lauderdale County has complied with the criteria set forth in 2739-329-2B of the Mississippi Code. This certification authorizes the county to expend the avails of the 1 mill levy collected for the 2019 roll year and any previous years under the above code sections. Then number 5 is need to ratify and approve travel for Chuck Roberts, who attended the Mississippi Constables Board meeting in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Travel included mileage.
So moved. Second.
Return.
You got it, Ms. Carolyn? Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, number 6, need approval of the base flood elevations and floodways for the following: Chunky River.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Number 7, I need approval of a budget amendment to add the grant award CDBG PF ADA improvements.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, number 8 is I need approval to transfer $100,000 from the general fund to the CDBG PF ADA Improvements Fund 067.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Gentlemen, that includes the agenda.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Polk? All right. Thank you, ma'am. That will take us to our board attorney, Mr. Lee Thayer.
Mr. President, Board, good morning.
Good morning.
First item, I ask you to consider an order setting a fee within Lauderdale County, Mississippi to collect or defray the cost of services as to garbage collection and/or disposal system effective January 1, 2020. Of course, the as we talked about the work session on Thursday, and at the previous work session several weeks ago, that the contents are the same as for last year.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, ask you to consider approval of an order finally accepting and approving the certificate to the Mississippi Department of Revenue, finally approving the real and personal assessment rolls of Lauderdale County for 2019.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. President, we'll ask you to consider the need for an executive session at the end of the meeting. Subject to questions that completes the legal agenda.
Okay. Anything from Mr. Thaggart? All right. That will take us to number 12, other matters for general good and welfare. That's where we open our podium up for 5 minutes for a member of the audience to address the Board of Supervisors. We will do that at this time. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board for other matters for general good and welfare at this time? I'll make the call one more time. All right, seeing no motion, we'll move to actions from supervisors. Mr. Newell, I'll start with you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad that Rush made the announcement for Knox Road. We have the money available to fix that road. Again, the weather will play a part into when we get started and so forth. But we have the money available to resurface that road from one end to the other. So it will be a brand new road when we get it done, and I look forward to that for those folks that has endured the trouble of the road for the past, I'm gonna say about 6 months, but you know, it always is worse before it gets better, so we're looking forward to getting that done. Also, Mr. Rainey, our tax assessor, touched on it. Tomorrow is an important day for Lauderdale County and the state, and certainly encourage everyone to go to the polls and exercise their rights to vote. You know, Mr. Rainey touched on it, that we have guys that die every day for the right for us to have the privilege to voting. So encourage everyone, and certainly encourage everyone to look at what I've tried to do for Lauderdale County and District 2 for the past 12 years. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Mr. Todd.
Just want to put in everybody's minds on the board. You know, a lot of times we cancel that second board meeting in December. Just be thinking about that so we won't be up against the gun trying to do so, get it in the paper and a notice. And don't forget 2 o'clock at Mississippi State Extension Service. We'll have a ribbon cutting at the Agri Center, opening up their new doors.
You might want to mention the work session on Thanksgiving, because it usually falls there too.
And the work session on Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mr. President. We need to discuss that and keep it in your mind.
Do me a favor, just make sure we hit on that next work session and we'll get that taken.
Somebody's going to remind me. I just thought of it, and that's why I said it when I remembered it.
I'll remind you.
We're scheduling this building for the 14th.
That's something we always talk about there. We start getting close.
It's close.
Especially
3 weeks. It won't be.
Here's one by.
All right. That'll take us to Mr. Norwood.
Morning, gentlemen. Just want to remind everyone the EMBDC annual meeting is Wednesday of next week, 8 o'clock at the Riley Center. Yeah, so the judge is scheduled for that. And also Friday, November the 15th is Multi-County Annuals Award Ceremony. It will be at the Thomas Delaney Center at MCC. You guys should mark your calendar for that. And I have a travel issue on November 3rd and the 15th. My annual workforce development meeting will be on the coast on that Wednesday, Thursday. That's the board approval. I think it probably was in the travel schedule, but I'm not for sure. But I'm bringing it forward now to make sure.
So we're asking for per diem, right?
Yes. I'll be traveling in my vehicle down there for that.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
A motion
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Anything else, sir?
That should do it.
Mr. Rutland?
Touching on the voting thing, make sure you bring your ID when you go vote, and just Veterans Day, as we mentioned, is coming up next Monday. I know a lot of people will be off, but remember why we're all, and it should just stop the soldiers, it's the families, that are still, to support them while they're gone. It's because it affects everybody. It's a lot of sacrifice. Got to go to Spookery at Camp Bonacci this past weekend. It was just encourage your children, boys and girls, to get into Scouts. So there's just a ton of volunteers. That's a beautiful place out there. It's been a long time since I've slept in a tent, but we got an extra hour to sleep in 33-degree weather. So me and little boy got a little cold, but it was we were 1 degree from getting the polar bear bag. So maybe next time. But we just check that out, and also the public can go out there. They have the sporting clays where you can go and do archery or shoot clays. It's a very nice facility. Again, check it out. That's all.
Yeah, we tend to forget that's out
beautiful
there.
out there.
It's another nugget that we have to enjoy. All right. I guess that'll take it to being my turn. I just want to congratulate Russell Christian Academy on their football championship this past weekend. To my friends and colleagues, teachers and coaches and friends out there, congratulations for that. I'd like to reiterate what Mr. Todd spoke about. 2 o'clock, we're going to do the ribbon cutting for the MSU Extension Service that was on the 5th floor, and they're out at the Ag Center now, so that's happening at 2 o'clock today. And just echo what everybody said about voting. Please do that, because people have sacrificed. The other thing is, and I'm talking to myself, is once tomorrow passes, please go collect your signs, because they're everywhere. And not just us, but countywide, everybody that's running, state level, they're out there, and I think people are probably ready to see them. So,
Public will go vote on Wednesday, November the 6th.
Okay, all right. So, but please make plans to get those up, and I'll pledge I'll be out getting the few that I put out as well. So that's all I have at this time. Yes, sir.
I forgot one thing. On Friday, Southeast Lauderdale's Veterans Day program is at 9:30. If you never got to attend or know a veteran hasn't been, I enjoy just going. They let everybody speak. Every veteran and they feed them lunch. It's kids and the faculty just make them feel so well. So if you know of a veteran, please let them know this Friday at 9:30.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a number of years, and it's powerful. So thank you for that reminder. Okay, if there's nothing else at this time, I'll entertain the need for an executive session.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Todd. If you'll excuse us, please.
All right, the board did go into executive session to discuss several matters. First, potential litigation. We're in open discussion. We have a detrimental effect on the county's litigating position. That's relative to Maiden Estates North. To discuss the transaction of business discussions and negotiations regarding the potential location of a business or Eastern Lauderdale County, as well as the potential purchase or lease of real property, and no action is taken.
Gentlemen, there is, we considered a segment for executive session. We decided it was not executive material, so coming out of executive session, need to discuss the Children's Museum requesting further in-kind service. In talking to Liz Wilson, she's asking, for the material that we tore the building down and we moved it across the street to our new location at Village Fair Mall. They want to work, and Rush isn't here, but they want to work the timeline where they can get the crusher and still get that gravel. And I know that in the very beginning we talked about taking that material and using it ourselves. So we need to determine if we want to go that route. There may be other demolition work that they'll ask us to do, and they also want that fill dirt that we had donated to us that's at 39. So if we do anything, if my understanding from Mr. Thaggart's right, we're going to have to redo our MOU.
Or
Amend it. So that's where the discussion's at. I need to hear from you guys. I just told her I would present that to you and ask where we're at on that. So what can I send back? What's the answer?
Where are we at on our agreement?
We've reached our agreement. Is that what we can say Thursday?
You exceeded it by a few $1,000s, so we'll need to amend it to increase to that. But the question is when we amend it, what number will you need to go to?
Well, is the contractor removing all the slab and the curbing, or are they still wanting us to do that?
Well, and
Somebody took down the Trustmark.
And they moved it across the street?
Yeah, that was done. The
So-
ATM was moved, so I'm taking it down on Friday or Saturday, I think.
so there was some curbing there that they were asking us to do, and I spoke with Rush this morning, and he made it sound, if I understood Rush right, that they were going to take care of that. So I think the bottom line is do we want to donate that material? But here's what else Rush discussed with me this morning is that there's not enough material there to warrant getting that machine here without some of the mall demo being added to that. So I don't know if we can even start to give them a timeline of when we're getting this crusher and when we can donate it.
So it's too many unknowns with that. Just, let's see if we can help them with the dirt.
I agree. Okay.
What's the value of the dirt? We know.
Well, the dirt was donated to us.
I appreciate that, but still
I
has value to
understand.
it.
We're gonna haul it.
us.
We're gonna haul it.
We're gonna haul it.
And
So
it's valuable
how much
to
dirt
us.
is, how much dirt is there? Yeah, because we could have used that.
Blowing our pad.
Terrell Temple has already told them that it's quality dirt that they can use. We'd have to ask, we can ask him.
I mean, does that have to be made, all that had to be amended
I
today?
think the major thing was the crusher and that debris over there, so, no, I think the major thing is we can tell them, hey, we can give you the dirt.
Yeah, we'll
We
do
need
the
to get a
dirt.
price from Rush on it, and we can donate the dirt, but everything else
Yeah,
is
it's
out
just
of
too many unknowns.
too many variables. And actually, when I was discussing it with Liz, I told her that originally we wanted to use that material. That was part of our thinking, and that we'd have to discuss it. So, okay. So just to be clear,
That's part of our
We can-
gravel to the road.
that's right. So,
So
okay.
that, we'll determine what the value of that, even though it's donated, it has value to the county. Otherwise, if you're buying something to replace it, it's good dirt, and also either, your manpower, or your equipment to haul it, so it's a.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. That's all I wanted to bring back before you.
So moved.
At this time, I'll entertain the motion to recess until Monday, November 18th, 2019 at 9 a.m.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Thank you.
Everybody knows.